Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Happy Practice Podcast. I am your host, Adam Sierra, and today I am joined by a good friend and somebody who's just recently arrived from Philadelphia, Mr. Chris Balbi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I flew all the way here. My arms are so tired. What if that was my lead line? Hi, guys. Super excited to be here today.
You can say whatever you want. Coming all the way from Philly, and it's surprisingly just as cool here as it is there. I think it's actually
It's
warmer
actually
here.
warmer here in Salt Lake City than it is in Philadelphia. It's 2 degrees here, or 2 degrees in Philadelphia, and I think it's about 27 degrees here in Utah.
Well, we're really glad to have you here. Obviously, we're going to be talking about AI later today, but as we always do on the show, we always talk about you first and we talk about your story and how you got into the spot that you're in today. So let's start with that. Tell us about the origin story of Chris, how you got started as with your education and everything, and how you got into the aesthetic industry.
Perfect. So come with me on a journey. I actually went to school for theater, and I did theater for almost 3 years
Hold
in
on, what productions
Philadelphia.
were you in?
Oh, no, wait, hold on. I did theater, and I was in productions of Beauty and the Beast, The Early Modern Millie, Oliver, and then I got off stage and worked backstage. I did house management, but I started to realize that I liked having my days like as an office job, and I was tired of working nights and making no money. So I left theater. I worked at the front desk of a medical spa for about a year. I started on a weight loss journey, and I started posting my before and after photos online. And I was obsessed with the dopamine hits I would get when people would be like, "Oh my God, you're doing so good. I love it." And I was like, wait, if I can get paid to get this dopamine hit, maybe I should get into marketing. So I, at the front desk at the med spa while losing weight, started to fall in love with marketing. And I ended up asking the owners, like, hey, can I start marketing our med spa and like see if I can do it? And it took off. So now we have 30,000 followers on Instagram, 75,000 followers on TikTok. And my most proud moment, we have an email list of 25,000. Can I like go on a tangent? Is that all right?
Go on
That's it.
tangent, yeah.
Great. I don't care how many followers you've got on social media. What I care about is your email newsletter list, specifically because your followers are only there for your like funny content, but the people who have signed up for your newsletters are the ones that are going to spend money with your practice. So that's what I'm most proud of. Backing it up, I also have a fun story with my weight loss journey. I was known as the king of bow ties. Didn't wear one today because it wouldn't match the outfit. And what I would do is anytime I lost a pound, I would buy a bow tie. So my social media trend would be like, hey guys, look at the 3 bow ties I bought because I lost 3 pounds. People started knowing me as the bow tie guy. So when I was going to look for jobs, I would, as I was leaving the interview, I would leave a bow tie on the seat as like, take it off during the interview. And they would always email me like, you left your bow tie. And I was always like, oh, give it back to you on my first day. I got a lot of job offers that way because they loved how creative I was because I told the bow tie story, ended up with the job. So marketing is all about being creative. Marketing is all about standing out. And so it's what I ended up falling in love with.
So how long has that been that you've been doing marketing?
God, I have to look at these wrinkles. 15 years, 17 years now.
17 years.
Yeah.
You're known as an authority in the marketing space, right? And
I
that's
wrote a book on it.
you wrote a whole book on it. Well, before we get too deep into the AI, tell us about the book.
Welcome to Marketing Magic, spells to make your spa grow, or any small business. I was just finding that people were lost, right? And so I ended up writing a book. It's like 50 pages long, available on Amazon. It's $8. I didn't want to make money on the book. I did it because I was tired of people being lost and I wanted to show them the way. I'm very flattered you call me a pioneer. There are a lot of people who've come before me that I have followed, and I'm just trying to help people find their footing and create their own magic. So I wrote a book on it, and I just celebrated selling 1,000 copies, which makes me happy. It's definitely been a journey. I learned a lot about writing. I don't like writing. Uh, Much prefer doing the marketing. But I did it, and I'm proud to say I did it. And of course, I'm writing my second book. But that's just hearsay.
I mean, congrats. Like selling
Thanks.
1,000 copies is awesome.
Thanks.
What's been the reception?
So far so good. I think that most people don't forget how to read. That's funny. I think most people,
Sometimes.
just, I think that TikTok and Instagram have ruined people's attention span. And I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Are you an Instagram or TikToker for reels at all, or no?
Unwittingly, both.
Yeah, right.
Us.
So like,
Way too much time.
yeah, so like 15 to 30 seconds is a good amount of time. Anything past that, I'm a scroller. I'm like, yeah, okay, next, next. You really have to have good content to hold my attention. And so it was challenging for me to write the book in a way that the TikTok and Instagram users could keep their attention. No chapter in my book is over 2 pages long because I knew that if I made it too long, you couldn't see the next chapter, you'd put the book down. So the reception's been positive in the sense that it's a quick read. I literally have a joke on like the second page that it's like, hey, this book's only 50 pages, not because I got lazy, but because you are. And I know that you just want to get to the end and we're going to get there together.
Love that. If there was like one main lesson that you want people to take away from it, what would that be?
Chapter 15, touch some damn grass. No, seriously, the last chapter is that none of this matters. So I'm one of those marketing people that is very real. I think that if you're ever stressed about your job, especially if you're in marketing, go outside. We're not saving babies. We're selling a product or a service, right? So if you are stressed and like your day is falling apart and your boss is on your case and you don't think you can do it, go touch some grass. Really, like it's not the end of the world. So as crazy as it sounds, spoiler alert, the last chapter is not about marketing. It's about saving your sanity.
Well, and I think that's so important just because people get really invested in it, especially in the industries that we're in healthcare, in
Oh yeah.
uh, medical and dental and optometry and veterinary. Like, there's so much of what we do does matter to a lot of people's lives, right? And it's just really important to be able to, kind of bifurcate those two things. And
Scrabble word, bifurcate. Good
I
for
know,
you.
yeah. But also just like having that boundary between like, the work and the personal life and being able to, like you say, keep your sanity is a really big skill that I think a lot of people are
No,
working on too.
absolutely. And I think also people forget that a lot of your inspiration is going to come from the real world. So
Mm.
going outside and touching grass, so to speak, is also a way to gather new ideas and become a better marketer.
Tell me about Meesha Aesthetics. It's a practice you work at.
Hi, welcome to Meesha Aesthetics. 15 years in practice, thanks to me. I'm just kidding. I have a huge staff that is a good support team. It started out with $500 in a bank account, one injector, and that was it. That injector actually was scheduling her own patients. She then brought in an esthetician, and she was like, okay, well, now that there's two of us, we need someone to balance the books in terms of like scheduling. So we brought on a front desk person. That was me. So I was working with two people, and then it's just a snowball. Then there was to 4 or 5 injectors, 2 or 3 estheticians, and now we're up to 17 providers as the injector wise and 8 in esthetician wise, and we have 22 front desk support staff. So there's 55 of us total now, 5 different offices. It's been a fun journey. I think that what sets us apart is that we believe in education above all else. So we don't even set sales goals, right? We pay our bills. That's what matters most. Our biggest thing is just education. So we have 2 pillars, if you will. One, you're beautiful before you even sit in our treatment chair. 2, you're gonna know what's happening before it happens. So we're not just gonna turn and burn. We're not gonna treat and repeat. We're gonna make sure that you know what's happening. And it's been working for us.
I mean, what's it like going from, starting with $500 in the bank account to 5 locations?
Whew. So it's a learning curve, right? We're
Yeah.
we're sitting outside these gorgeous mountains that you can't see at home, but there's mountains behind us. And it's been a mountain, right? So um, just like a snowball effect sounds good and easy. I've learned a lot along the way, right? When we first started, we didn't have anything resembling HR. Why? We had 3 employees and 2 of them were family. Now we have to have a whole HR department to juggle 55 people's payrolls, and this person needs to get something called in for their future mortgage, and this person needs to get more put into their 401k. And so that's a whole department on its own, right? Um, Marketing wise, it's becoming a challenge because I used to just market Botox chemical peels. Now, this is only a 20-minute podcast. I can't even tell you all our services, right? So it's become a learning lesson in marketing Botox filler, chemical peels, semaglutide, microneedling, dermaplane, the list goes on. So it's been a challenge, a fun challenge. I've loved growing with the industry. I'll be curious to know what's next. We just talked about this on the car ride over. It's been fun to watch the dynamics of what I sell change, right? Like 2 years ago, it was the pillow face, big lips, big cheeks, looking like you had work done because you could afford to have work done. Now the pendulum has swung and nobody should know you've had work done. And so that's a dynamic I've had to change my marketing, right? Like everyone will know or everyone will notice, but nobody will know. That's been fun. My biggest challenge right now is we're getting into menopause. And menopause used to be seen as a dirty word, right? Like, and I don't want that to be a thing. And it's hard for me because I'm a dude and people don't look at me and think that I know what menopause is. I have had to study hours on menopause to learn about it, to be able to market menopause services. My new campaign, feel free to take this if you're also selling menopause services. Not your mother's menopause, right? Because what you think of as menopause with what your mother went through is not what you have to go through, right? So that's my big push right now.
Love it. I mean, what you guys have done is obviously incredibly successful. You just growing to 5 practices is such a huge accomplishment. Which brings me to AI part of this. So you're doing all the marketing and you're growing these practices. At what point did you decide to incorporate AI into your marketing strategy?
And that's called a segue, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Thank you. That's why I'm here.
So I think we have to go back a second. Part of what's made Meesha Aesthetics successful is our early adoption. So the reason that our TikTok has grown is we were like the first account on TikTok. The reason our Instagram is pretty solid is that we've never bought our followers and we're kind of there in day one. And part of the reason I think that we're doing well with AI is that we're now teaching people how to do it because we've been doing it for almost 2 years now, right? So ChatGPT is kind of the AI I'm most familiar with. If we could do like a Family Guy cutaway, I'd love to teach you guys a quick second on like the difference between AI and machine learning. So AI is a very broad umbrella, artificial intelligence. It's when you think of that, you think of the Will Smith movie, I, Robot, where like the robots get self-preservation and start thinking for themselves. We're not there yet. Really what we're talking about is machine learning. We've taught the computer, I'm going to tell you this. I want you to go find what I'm looking for and bring it back in a way that I'm looking for. We're basically teaching computers to play fetch, right? It's a polished Google, if you will. But we were using ChatGPT to help finesse. I would tell machine learning, I want you to talk like Kim Kardashian talks to her audience, right?
Mm.
So I'm going to tell you what I want to sell my audience. I know Kim Kardashian can sell well. So I'm going to tell you I want you to sell menopause how Kim Kardashian would sell it. And then ChatGPT knows how Kim Kardashian sells. It knows enough about menopause. It blends those together and produces output for me, right? It's one of the earliest things I actually did with ChatGPT. Nowadays, I'm using ChatGPT in a variety of ways, and I'm sure you're going to ask about that in a second. So I'll save that question for you.
Starting off broad and getting a little bit more narrow,
Yeah.
how is AI changing the marketing landscape, specifically in your space and aesthetics?
So I just started using this program called Opaline. And Opaline uses, or is working on using, AI facial scan technology to scan a potential patient's face, a lead, and provide them a list of services I can provide. And the sexy part about all this is that in order for the client, let me take you through the workflow. Client gets to my website and they see a giant button that says treatment quiz. They click on that. They take a couple questions. Then a computer or their camera takes a picture. AI reads their face and says, okay, these are the services I think you're going to need. But for that client to access what the computer has determined for them, they have to provide their first name, last name, cell phone number, and email. Well, that's now a lead for me, right? So AI generated a lead. I didn't have to do the work of talking to that client. AI did. It did the analyzation for me. Now, of course, when that person comes in, I'm going to cross-check and make sure I agree with AI and this, that, the next thing. But I think that AI will be the person who filters through my price shoppers, I call them Bo curious. They're Botox curious clients. It'll filter through those people and it will help me segment who I'm really wanting to engage with, right? So that's helping me out. AI is also helping me segment my audience. So I have a filter set up using ChatGPT. I gave it a list of first names because I don't trust ChatGPT fully with my client information, and you shouldn't either. And I said, okay, I want to give my like client identification numbers, like a random number, so I can find out who they are. And I want to give you their journey so far. And I want you to tell me what I should market them next. Again, I'm much better at like real examples. So I took a list of clients who had Botox and I let ChatGPT know their first name, client ID, and their age. And I said, now pull out of here who you think would buy microneedling. And ChatGPT gave me a list of people I should market microneedling to. And that microneedling list, I sent it to 190 people and 122 booked a treatment. I don't think that would have happened unless ChatGPT/AI had pulled out that data to tell me these are the people you're going to have success with.
Well, I think it's an issue of AI is not going to replace workers or
No,
clinicians or practitioners or whatever. It will replace the ones that aren't using it, you know?
absolutely. And I say this all the time. You can learn how to use ChatGPT in an hour, 15 minutes even, right? You just have to not be adverse to change. And what I'm seeing now, the clinicians and clinics that are faltering and falling and failing are the ones that are afraid to adapt, right? But
Yeah.
there's a fine line, right? So you don't always want to be on the cutting edge where you're producing content that's not been tested or products or services that haven't been run through the ringer. You want to give it a little finesse before you broadcast it out. You got to find that fine line.
Right. Well, speaking of fine lines, one of the things you talk about is automation, right? With your process for doing leads, you're not having to do anything for that. Also, your business is all about that fantastic experience and making sure that everybody feels really heard and seen and taken care of. So, how do you blend those two things, like the automation and the high touch, really VIP experience?
So, we really do work to elevate every experience in my office. And I I don't know if I'm going to disappoint you with this next sentence, but we're not really using AI to do that in office quite yet. And maybe there's a way to do it, but I'm almost afraid to automate anything in office.
Mm,
Once a human gets down my stairs, I don't want to do anything. Let me take you a step further, but once you're in my office, I don't really use AI. Now, that being said, once you leave my office, AI does kick back in, right? So I have an automated trigger. And again, machine learning versus AI, once you have a Botox treatment, 24 hours later, you don't get a text message because nothing's happened yet. Botox takes 7 to 10 days to kick in. But if you've had filler in my office, a machine learning trigger says 24 hours later, you get a text. Hey, swelling is normal. Don't panic. If anything turns this color, call me. I didn't have to do anything. Machine learning knew that this client had a filler appointment and then sent that message out. Whereas if it's a Botox visit, 7 days later, hey, your Botox should be kicked in by now. If you need anything, let me know. Right? So like that's that extra experience that I don't have to do anymore. But it comes from us, their name's attached, it feels warm. We're always there to receive the messaging. But that's pretty much how it goes for there.
love that. As we're talking about AI, let's say that I'm a clinic that's never used AI before. It might be intimidating for me. What are some really easy ways that somebody can get started?
Oh, I'm winded because this is going to be a mecha story. Buckle up, buttercups. This is going to be this
I
framework.
wrote a whole book
I
about
wrote a book
this.
about it. Okay. So this was probably my most proud ChatGPT AI moment. I'm going to give you the entire framework. Please use this in your practice. So I went to ChatGPT, and you can do this too. And I said, hey, I am a medical spa located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm looking to garnish more leads. In order to do this, I'm looking to tease people with a beauty report that lets them know what is coming down the pipeline in 2025 and what's fizzling out. I want this to be a one-page PDF. Go. ChatGPT did its thing. It wrote a one-page document. Here's the kicker. I then read that and said, crap, I don't do half of this stuff. And I don't want to sell stuff I can't perform in my office. So I turned around to ChatGPT and I said, you're doing great. I always give ChatGPT the robot a pat on the back. I said, you're doing great. But I said, here's my website. I want you to remove and replace anything you mentioned in this report with stuff that I do at my office, right? Hit enter, ChatGPT in less than 10 seconds, did it again. I read it, it was perfect. I saved it as a PDF. Then I went over to my website, right? And I put up a little, it's called a light box on Wix, but it's a pop-up, right? You've seen on websites like save 20%, give me your email, saved, you know what I'm saying? Like the pop-ups,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I had a pop on my website for a month that said, if you want to read the 2024 beauty report, what's in, what's out, give me your email address. Perfect. Once that popped up, people gave me their email. I set up in that email that once they click submit, they got a thank you email with a beauty report. But guess what I got? Their email.
Yeah.
Now they're in my list. But I didn't have to do any work. I mean, I did all of what I just told you, but I didn't have to like write the report. I didn't have to spell check it. All I did was verify that I performed those services and I agreed with ChatGPT because robots make mistakes, people. So like once I got through all of that, I was like, good to go. That's how you, a new practice, new with ChatGPT or AI, could use it in less than 60 seconds.
Chris, it's been awesome having you on the show. How can people find you?
My home address is, I'm just kidding. Don't come to my home. I'm most active on my business Instagram at Botox by Meesha. Hopefully the lovely weave people, if this is a video content, put it like right here. It's like right here. Of course the book is on Amazon. We talked about that. But if you find the Botox by Meesha and just send a DM, I'm there.
Chris, thank you for joining us on the show. I learned a ton. And thank you to everybody who joined as well, whether you're watching or listening. And until next time, stay happy. Take care.